welcome back to PC Building Simulator. This is episode 2. In episode 1, we basically got set up in the workshop, showed you a couple of early jobs, and said that we're going to be making $1 million. This is now going to be the start of finding new jobs. Like, we're only at level 2 with $700 in. Again, as we said before, this is going to be a long series, but hopefully not too long. So we've got some jobs, so let's get on with these. Removing viruses for $200. Hello mate, I need your help. I borrowed my mum's brand new PC and I think I clicked on something I shouldn't have. So basically, Harry's been watching some filthy porn on his mum's computer and wants the viruses removing. So Harry, welcome, bring in. So replace air, call out, clean out dust. I'm not going to really read through these emails at the moment, and I'll tell you why afterwards. We might get to it in this video. It might be the next video, I'm not too sure, but it's to do with reviews and there's a reason. So we want to pretty much rush past all these early emails because it's going to cause a problem. So they want a new air cooler, clean out dust. Their budget is £10. Budget is one of the most important things in this game. So we know they need a new air cooler, so we're actually going to go into CPU cooling, which are obviously air coolers. These are all above, but this one down here, the Matoni Thermal 100, is $10, so we're going to add that to the cart. We now know that is the correct one because it matches their budget. It's the only one for £10. Yes, things in the future are going to matter with stuff like socket types and CPU types and all this, but at the moment we don't have to worry about that. It's literally telling us, here's my budget, this is the item. So we're going to accept that, and that will be delivered for tomorrow as well. Stuff for my daughter's new PC. Hi, I'm giving my daughter my PC, and she needs a lot of RAM, apparently. She said she needs 16 gig. I want to know what she's doing for 16 gig. Maybe she's editing, who knows? You don't technically need 16 gig to edit, but we won't go there. And I've currently got 2 gig and 4 RAM slots on my motherboard. The budget is 140, so they want to upgrade to 16 gigs of RAM. The most important thing going forward is making sure the customers are happy. Reviews really matter with this game. So a big part of this right now is ensuring that they are we're working to the specifications of what the customer wants. In this case, it probably won't matter until the reviews come in, but it's always good practice to start as you mean to go on. They might have 2 gig already. If that person already had, say, 8 gig and wanted to upgrade into 16, in most cases you would just want to match their original RAM, but they've got the budget. So what we want to do is we want to always give new components unless they ask for used, in which case go for used components. So we want memory, they want 8 gig of RAM for $140. Now a 16 gig of RAM. Now you have the choice because memory type, memory speed at the moment has no bearing unless they actually want to build a monster of a PC, in which case they will say in the email, or unless you're replacing a part. So because their budget is 140, we're going to go for the 2400 megahertz RAM at 140, because even though it can technically save us money, we're still going to be paying the extra $30 anyway, because if I spend 160, they're only going to pay 160. You're not going to get the extra money. So we want 2 of them, and we're going to accept that job. Do you clean PCs, clean out the dust? This now has a time frame. They want this done by tomorrow for £110. Now you will find time frames are very important, but at the moment all of these are in transit, which also means we can go to the shop, we can buy these for next working day delivery, and they will be on the way, and also the computers will be on the way, and there's no other jobs. That's the end of that today, and we will go through to the next day. Okay, so we've got our components arrive and we have our PCs. So you've seen us work on things before, so that just wants removing viruses. There's no point showing you that one. Replacing an air cooler, I'll show you the important part of this, but not all of this is important. So we're going to remove all the dust because Audrey hasn't cleaned out the PC, which is a nightmare. There we go. So the dust has been cleaned out. So replacing the air cooler is pretty much the same as everything else. You go to remove, you click on the air cooler, and again, it's showing you there's a wire attached. So we want to unplug the wire, and now it's green. So we can now replace the air cooler. So the important part of replacing air coolers, for most people, this is one of the most important parts of the game. There's certain aspects of this game where you will only get a 5-star review, or get an automatic 1-star review if you forget or do certain things. Breaking the budget is one of them. This is another one, which is apparently Uncle Tim's issues were always caused by this. You always want to add thermal paste. As you can then see, added a nice little dot. You can't do a smiley face in this game as some people like to. Some people also like the X method, or some people just like to do the dot. So on this game we can only do the dot, and we want to go to CPU cooling. That is broken, so we're going to sell it. Don't get any money for it anyway, and we're just going to attach the new one. You can turn it, you don't have to, so we're not going to rotate it. Rotating pretty much comes in later when in the game when you need to maybe fit an item in with a very small form factor build. But at the moment you can see right hand side, clean out dust and replace air cooler, both done. So what we're going to do now is we're going to attach the cables. I know you would put the side panel on first, but there's a reason I'm not doing that straight away. So we're going to replace the cables, or pop the cables in, and we're going to boot the computer up. Whilst it's booting to the OS, we can now add the side panel, and now it's booted up to the OS, and now we can replace the side panel whilst that's happening, and now that's done. So we can add that back into the delivery area, and we can go into our emails. We're going to have more emails from before, and I think it was the hot and broken PC. There you go, collect. So next email up was we can discard, upgrading 16 gig of RAM. So we know this is the upgrade because it says upgrade on it. So what we're going to do again is we're going to remove the RAM. Like I said, bad practice to be keeping people's parts, but this game doesn't seem to care. We have no conscience, so we're just going to keep their parts. So we're going to open the memory clips, and whilst we're here we're also going to open 2 more. I actually learned this from Jay's 2 cents. I can't remember why, so please, if you know why, let me know, but I can't remember off the top of my head. To actually replace the RAM into missing a slot, so you're actually going, so it's 1 and 3 instead of 1 and 2. Most people, I believe, put it as 1 and 2, or 3 and 4. Don't put them together and miss them out, and I can't remember the reason for that. Maybe I'll Google it, who knows. So again, it's literally that simple for RAM. There will be things in the future where it won't just be a RAM replacement when they're saying can you just upgrade the RAM, but right now we're not worried about reviews. Reviews are not important because we haven't got a review system at current. So we're just going to attach them. We're going to boot up, and whilst that is also booting up, we are going to attach the side panel. And now that's booted up to OS, we're going to drop it into the delivery area, and we're going to collect the money for that. Thank you. New parts will constantly become available as we go along. Doing different jobs and all sorts will give us extra parts as well as leveling up, but at the moment that's not a problem. But we're just going to discard that because we've done that. Do you clean? So we know we need to clean out the dust, and we need to remove viruses. So both of these are cleaning and removing viruses. So I'm not actually going to sit by and show you these two because there's no need. You guys have already seen us doing this. It's going to be a boring job for you to watch. So I'm actually going to go ahead and do these before we then move on to the next day. So at the end of the day, we did both of them jobs, and we actually have a new job come up, which is upgrading to 16 gig of RAM. Again, unfortunately, it's another job you've all seen, so I'm pretty much going to go ahead and smash through this job. Okay, so we've got 2 emails that you guys, well, 3 emails technically overall that you wouldn't have seen before. So this first one is installing a new PSU. In this case, it's installing the Sheen Power King, then running 3D Mark. 3D Mark is the fucking bane of my life when it comes to this game. It is the longest, most laborious task, especially with 1 bench. Once you get 2 benches, it's absolutely fine, but right now, my god, I hate it. So we want to install the Sheen Power King 600. So we go to shop, we're going to go down to power supplies, and we're going to go to the Sheen Power King 600. $80, budget is $80. accept the job. That is now on the way. Missing thermal paste. Fucking Tim decided he didn't want to add thermal paste. Apparently it's very common for him to do this. He even said in his email, oh yeah, I do that quite often. No wonder Tim's business was failing. So this is unfortunately just teaching you about the importance of thermal paste, but there's no labour or budget, so we're going to go ahead and accept that one. You've already seen me apply thermal paste. I might show you once more, but apart from that, applying thermal paste should be it should just be a task that you do every time, so we shouldn't be worried about that. Replacing the motherboard, this is now where things can get interesting, because it's starting to be where you've got to understand the way certain components are, not the way they work, just the way they are when coming to buy them. So in this case they're saying a Skylake socket. At the moment that is the only Intel socket we have. As you can see, they have a Celeron. Now they have the Mortoni H170M Tech. Their budget is $100. I think it only covers that motherboard. It does. It's the only motherboard we can get anyway. We're not getting the Plus or the DFL H170. As you can see here, it's also a Skylake socket. All these are Skylake sockets, meaning we can't get an AMD motherboard anyway. So we're going to go ahead and buy that because it's $100, and we're going to go ahead and accept that. Replacing the motherboard is easy. It's one of the most, it's one of the longest tasks in the game because everything connects to the motherboard. But again, you will also see it's an easy task, especially at first. So can you clean this PC? Clean out the dust. I've already accepted the job. It's just another dust job, and it's just another time frame job. So all four are in transit. So I'm going to go ahead and double check what I have in the shop, which is the Power King and the M-Tech. So just to make sure, I only need a Power King and the M-Tech. Replace the motherboard, thermal paste and Power King. There you go. So the first one we're going to do is we're not going to clean out, we're going to install the Power King. No, we'll run 3D Mark. Them two are running 3D Mark, so we'll run them afterwards, because again, as I said, it's so annoying to have to run it with one workbench. But 3D Mark is essentially going to be something you're going to be coming across very, very often, because 3D Mark is a benchmarking tool which is important for computers to know that certain components are working. So we're going to replace the motherboard. To replace the motherboard, it means you've got to get rid of everything. Now, if you remember me saying before, if you highlight over something, it goes green or red. This is now green, which means we can just remove this straight out. We do not need to take off the PSI cover, or PCI, sorry, PSI, PCI cover. We don't need to remove the PCI cover because it's not part of this graphics card, which I think is when you can have on sideways in these cases. So just going to remove the screw. That's going to come straight out. We're also going to remove the air cooler, which, as you saw before, you have to unplug here, remove the air cooler, and we're also going to have to remove the CPU because the motherboard has been replaced. Unplug that, and if I highlight over things, it will come up with what is orange, so, or red. So in that case, there's a wire down there, a wire there, and a wire here. And we're going to go ahead and remove the RAM. The last time I did this, I forgot to actually place the RAM back in, and the game was like, no, you're missing components. So what am I missing? The RAM. So we're going to actually go ahead and remove the motherboard, just speed this up a little bit. Okay, so that's now back in place, which now the important part is adding all the other components. Now, if you forget, it's not the end of the world, because if you go down to PC parts, you can actually get all your parts. I only found this out very, very recent. You can actually see the parts that need installing. So just in case you are worried you're going to forget anything, so we're going to open the CPU shield. We're going to go ahead and install the CPU, and we're going to close the shield. As always, as I've said before, apply your thermal paste. That is so important. You can go into CPU cooling and each component individually to locate them. So sometimes it's actually easier because it gets you into a habit of doing so. Yes, we will need to hook this up with a cable. And as also you've seen, the cables are going orange from everywhere else because we need to be applying them back to the motherboard. So we also need to install the graphics card. As it was an easy takeout, it's an easy install. And we're just going to go ahead and add the cables back in. Zoom out a little bit so I can see. I'm going to go ahead and get the cables back in place. There's one there, which is going to connect to the motherboard. And there's a cheeky little one up here, which is connecting the case so it will power up the computer. And we're also going to go ahead and go down to PC parts. and have another look, which involves the RAM. So we're going to open the little memory clips. You'll also notice the RAM was grouped together. I'm still going to go with what Jay had said and install in 1 and 3. So right now all it says is incomplete case, which if I then pop the side panel back on, it means there's no missing cables, and it also means, yep, there's no missing cables and there is no missing components, which is fantastic. Because like I said, the first time I did that, I forgot to put the RAM back in, and sometimes you do forget these things. So then we should be able to boot it up, and it should boot straight to OS, which then should go tick green on the right. It has, and we can place that in the delivery area to get rid of. And we will go ahead and accept, where is it? File pays, collect. We're going to go ahead and collect that job for £400, an extra 400, so we're on 1700 now. So the first one I'm going to show you is I'm going to install the Power King, because this is again a new component you guys won't have seen before. The fireplace one I'm not going to show you just because it's the same as before. Literally, you've seen me do it twice now. You're just applying a blob, that's all we're doing. So we want to be removing the PSU, and you can see here we've got many cables sat in the way. So to remove the PSU, you're going to have to start going at highlighting over it and getting them cables. There's also going to be a mount at the back, so we can now unscrew the mount and unscrew the PSU. Easy does it, and that now means the PSU can be removed, and we know the PSU is broken. If we're doing this properly, you would pretty much have to remove the shield, but we're not going to go ahead and do that because the game doesn't tell us to. So the 250 was what was used. It's not broken, so we're going to hold on to it, and we're going to install the 600. And to install that now, we're going to have to reapply the mount, so that'll be under PC parts, and then we're going to have to reapply then the cabling. So as we slowly screw this in, and you can see on the right hand side it says missing cables. That's literally just because now we're not missing any components, but we will need to reattach any cables to the PSU. Again, because the game is nice, we don't have to be removing certain fixtures out the way within the case. We can just go ahead and essentially apply them as we see fit. So in this case, 3D Mark is actually already installed. So we're just going to head and run that. This takes about 2 minutes, I think, in game. In real life, it takes forever, but on this version, it takes about 2 minutes. So I'm actually going to just speed this up. So 3D Mark has ran with an okay score. CPU, as you can see, is a lot higher than the graphics card, for sure. So for this basis, the 3D Mark is in the game for not only as a benchmarking tool for different scores, to run different games and see what components are good, but it also runs if you've done something wrong in the computer, such as not applying thermal paste. What 3D Mark will actually do is give you the blue screen of death, telling you that you have not done something in the computer. Now, it wouldn't necessarily do it like that in real life, but it has done it in the game because it is a benchmarking tool. It is also a tool to see if the computer you have done has been built properly, because it won't always tell you that you haven't applied thermal paste, which is annoying because it does show you if you haven't attached certain cables, etc, etc. So in this case, this one he's done, and I'm going to place that in the delivery area. Now I'm going to leave the video here. I know I said these videos are going to be a bit longer. In this case, it's easier to just end the video here because both of these PCs you've seen being done, and I'm probably going to skip forward until we get a new job. You've seen 3D Mark, you've seen some of the components being changed. We're going to make a bit of money before going ahead, so the next episode might be a time skip. I'm not too sure. I will have to see what the game throws at me, but for the moment I'm going to end it here, and we will go forward. And as I said, we will. The series is about making money. It's not about tutorials. If there's things you want to see in the game or different tutorials, that is absolutely fine. One thing I did forget to show you is if you have these two, which are really cute, it actually applies a Christmas decoration to the unit, which would have been a really good time because it's Christmas. There's also a Halloween one. I'm hoping they add more, but I think the game's now a couple of years old, so they might not add them, but who knows. So yes, if there's something you want to see, let me know. If not, I'm going to continue as is. It's all about making money, so as a whole this series is pretty much going to remain like this. We're going to show you jobs, we're going to make money, we're going to build up the business, and as we go further and further into the series, certain videos might be about one job, etc. We're going to have to see. So thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video.